This is Wendy Halley, and you're listening to Lucid Cafe. Aloha! Got a much less controversial conversation for you today. I actually ended up getting quite a bit of really positive feedback about the last episode with DMT researcher Rick Strassman. Turns out, people like controversy. We're going in a very different direction in today's episode. Alls I can say is I wish the program my guest, Eva Goulette, created was available when I was a kid. I mean, how cool would it be to go to a shamanic summer camp? Well, Eva has created one, and it's taking off. Eva Goulette is a shamanic practitioner with a natural gift for working with children. She created Spirit Camp in 2014 after realizing that her child clients were thriving once they learned tools to connect to their inner world. They loved incorporating the skills they learned from her into their daily lives, and parents commented that their family dynamics had shifted in positive ways once the children began using the tools they were taught. Wanting to reach a wider audience, Eva developed Spirit Camp as a summer program filled with self-help tools for children. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Eva Goulette. Hi, Eva. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hi, Wendy. Good morning.
So glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I would love to share with folks how we met because I think it's so it's kind of uncanny to me.
Would you like to share that story or would you like me to?
Well, I can tell my version and then you can fill in the blanks. How's that?
Perfect.
So I was recently a vendor at this giant expo in Massachusetts called the Natural Living Expo, and it was my first time there. I was just hanging out and this woman comes up to me and she notices my children's book on the table and said to me, "Hey, I just sold out of that book." And I was like, "What?" And all this stuff was going through my head like, is she saying that she has my kid's book at her table and she's selling copies of it? And how does that work? It didn't make any sense to me. I was trying to process all of this stuff. And I was like, yeah, wow, that's cool. That's really cool. But I still was confused. So why don't you take it from here
Okay.
and tell me how you ended up at my table?
Okay. I was also a vendor at the Natural Living Expo, and I sell numerous books at my booth at the Natural Living Expo. And one of the books that I was selling was Wendy's book, Inside Out. And as people would come to my booth and I would talk about the books that I carry and why I carry each particular book and why I think it's so significant for children to be exposed to these books, I would share about Inside Out, and I had numerous copies of Inside Out with me that weekend, and by Sunday I had sold out all of them. And a few times when someone would purchase the book from me, they would say, "There's another lady here at the expo who's selling this book. It's at her table." And I didn't have anyone covering my booth for me on Saturday, but on Sunday, I finally had someone who could cover my booth for me so I could go wander and find this mysterious woman who was also carrying Inside Out at her table. And as I was walking around, I kind of put two and two together and realized that the other person selling the copy of the book must be the author. So I got really excited. And as soon as I saw you, Wendy, sitting at your table with Inside Out at the front of your table, I think one of the first things I said to you after I said that I was selling the book and I had already sold out all the copies I brought with me was, "Are you Wendy?" And when you said yes, I was so excited because I love that children's book. And I just wanted to give you a big hug because I felt like I already knew you because I had read that book so many times and I have sold copies of it and I promote it. So it was really exciting for me to actually meet you, the author of this book that I absolutely treasure and adore.
What is amazing to me is that book, Inside Out, it's my first book, and it came out in, I think it was 2003. And so to me, like its day had come and gone. It was, I mean, how many years is that? Help me with the math. Was that 16 years ago?
Yes.
Clearly, I'm not a math person, and it's morning as we're recording this, so I have those excuses. So yeah, I'm thinking that I would be fortunate if I sold some copies at the expo, but I just assumed that that book would be heading towards retirement. But then after meeting you and talking to you, I'm finding like, wow, she's actually breathing fresh air into this book. And as an author, holy shit, it's like it's it was just mind blowing and thrilling and then when I found out what you're using the book for, it was a huge honor. I was just absolutely thrilled. I was beside myself because when I wrote that book, I never could have imagined that it would be used in the way that you're using it. And not in my wildest dreams. I was just absolutely thrilled.
Oh, thank you. It's such a special book, and it really helps me help children understand that we are more than just our minds and our bodies. And the programs that I've developed for children introduce that concept to kids that we are made up of mind, body, and spirit. And I share with them when they go to school, they're nurturing their minds. When they play sports or go to recess, they're nurturing their bodies. And when they come and do work with me, they're learning how to nurture their spirit. And what better book to introduce children to the concept that they are also made up of spirit than your book, Inside Out, because the characters in there who I love. I mean, I just adore the two girls in the book. So Carly and Natasha are just beautiful in the book. And throughout the programs that I do with children, I keep referencing back to the lessons we learned from Carly and Natasha. So it's like the anchor, that book is like the anchor to the program that I do for children.
Okay. So with that being said, please, what is your program all about? What is it that you do?
Well, it's called Dancing Jaguar Spirit Camp. And as I mentioned briefly before, it's a program developed to help children understand that that essence of who we are, our spirit, also needs to be nurtured and loved and cared for. So the program focuses on children connecting to their inner world. So children learn about our energy centers. They learn that as a human being, we are made up of energy, as is everything around us. So they start understanding how energy moves within us and around us. And they learn in very fun and playful ways the curriculum. Each module is introduced either with a children's book like yours, or games, crafts, activities, songs. Everything is introduced in very playful, fun, interactive ways for children. So they really embrace these concepts and take them in like on a cellular level because they're really experiencing them. So aside from learning about chakras and auras, they learn about the healing properties of gemstones and crystals. And we do shamanic journeying with them. We teach them how to do shamanic journeying, how to meet their power animal, and how to start working with spirit helpers. So these children understand that they are never alone. They always have guidance and help that they can call on whenever they need it. They're introduced to mindfulness techniques, meditations. We help them do guided visualization that helps them meet their inner critic and meet their inner champion and learn how to work with them so they're inner champion's voice becomes louder than their inner critic's voice. So giving the children an opportunity to understand concepts like that, it gives them really a working knowledge of how to be a spirit in a human body and how to really care for their spirit, that essence of who they are. And by the end of this 5-day program we do with kids, we're taking them outside, and well, we're outside every day, but our focus at the end of the week is learning that as an energetic being, we can connect to everything around us in this web of life. So children learn how to connect with the energy of a tree and learn how to meditate and get messages from the plants and the rocks and water, and learn at a very deep level that we really are connected to everything around us. And we really do have a responsibility for all of the energy and behavior and words that we're putting out into the world around us, because it not only impacts us, but it impacts the entire world at large. So these little tiny children at 5, 6, 7 years old are getting an understanding at a really deep level that we are all one. And so much of the time I hear children telling me that they have heard those words before, that we're all connected, we're all one. But this program takes it to a much deeper level because they're experiencing that.
Incredibly powerful. I'm thinking that the whole world could use a dose of your camp.
What's really interesting for me is that I have received emails from other countries saying, we don't have any kind of a program like this in our country. Would you bring it here? So, I mean, at this point in time, it's me as the person running Dancing Jaguar's Spirit Camp. But now I'm at a point where I'm starting to train other teachers, because I'm realizing through messages I receive from Spirit that this is really a global wave of a new way of working with children. I have been told by a number of teachers who have taken my program that this is like a missing link in childhood development, that really up until this program has come about and evolved, we have really as a society been focusing on children's minds and bodies. But as humans, we're made up of spirit as well. And this is a missing piece in how we work with children globally. But really, we're super guilty of that in the Western world. So it is something that is truly an important piece of education that children need to have. And they really thrive with it, because through the whole program, they're learning about who they are and how to function as a spirit in a human body. So for them, it's so exciting because it's like they're getting a roadmap to how to function in their inner world. And to my knowledge, there aren't many, if any, programs that really give kids that roadmap to explore the depth of what's happening inside them, not just in terms of their thoughts, but also their emotions and spiritually.
What you're doing, it sounds like, is introducing old medicine in a contemporary way, which is really cool and powerful. And I'm thrilled to hear it. And I'm actually shocked to hear that yours is maybe one of the first programs that has an approach like this.
I don't know of any others. There may be, but the information that has been coming to me from other locations, both domestically and internationally, is that this is the only like complete body of work where somebody can come and train and learn from point A, when we read Inside Out and introduce the concept of being made up of mind, body, and spirit, to the end where kids are really learning how to feel that connection to the natural world. There's like a whole curriculum that gradually takes kids through deepening their awareness of self, and it's all done in fun and playful ways. So it's a complete body of work. And To my knowledge, it's the only one of its kind, but there may be others.
Yeah, it sounds crazy comprehensive, like you're covering a lot of territory in a very short period of time. But I think kids are good at this. They are just natural because when you're catching them at that age, just developmentally, what I know about humans and their development is that their left brain or their linear way of thinking doesn't really kick into high gear until they're about school age, like 6, 7, 8 years old. And so you're catching these kids before they really their creative mind, their imaginative mind, starts to quiet down. You're catching them before there's too much noise in their minds.
Yes, and that is something that is so beneficial for them because I end up getting emails from parents in the winter months after their child has attended spirit camp that validate how much the children take in these teachings. And at what I introduce kids to on the very first day of spirit camp is I have them bring a cardboard shoebox to camp with them, and they decorate that, and that becomes known as their spirit toolbox. And throughout the week, they're constantly, as they're learning new ways of nurturing themselves, we put tools in their spirit toolbox. So by the end of the week, when they go home, it's completely overflowing with tools that they've learned how to use. So kids, when they're having a really bad day and they don't know how to handle it, prior to spirit camp, I've had parents share with me that their kid would, if they were miserable, everyone around them was miserable because the child had no coping mechanisms or tools to be able to manage their frustration. And after spirit camp, a mom said, my child, when they get mad now, go into the room, slam the door, and come, and she comes out a different child 20 minutes later because she's gone right to her spirit toolbox, opened it up, and started taking out the things that would help soothe her, calm her, and shift what she was experiencing inside and to bring her back to a more peaceful center. So they have a toolbox to help them cope and manage when life starts throwing curveballs at them. And up till now, I don't think kids have had a lot of tools to be able to work with.
Definitely not like those. I'd be curious to can you give some examples or an example of what a tool would look like?
Okay, well, I do an exercise with children that's called Chaos to Calm. And at the beginning of the module, the children are given a piece of paper with just a blank circle in it. And I tell them that that circle represents their body. And we do a cardio exercise. We might just do 25 jumping jacks. We get their heart rate up really fast. And then I have them sit in front of their piece of paper, close their eyes, and for a brief moment, check in with their body and see what colors are in their body when they are really hyper, when their heart rate's up, their breathing's up, their energy is up, and then draw inside that mandala, that plain circle, what their body looks and feels like when it's really energized. And then we do a grounding exercise, and they become completely peaceful and calm. And they're given another piece of paper with a circle in it, and they're asked to show us with color what their body feels like when they are completely calm and peaceful. And then we talk about how many times children hear an adult say, you need to calm down, but the child is never told what they can do to calm down. So I tell the children that in between those two circles, the chaos and the calm, my job as their spirit camp teacher is to fill in the blank for them that connects chaos to calm with numerous grounding exercises, breathing techniques, aligning their chakras, journeying to their power animal, connecting to the energy of a tree. So by the time the kids leave spirit camp, when they're in a place that they're experiencing chaos after camp, they have numerous tools that they can choose from to help them get back to calm because they've identified visually what chaos feels like and what calm feels like. And then they have a little book that they make prior to leaving spirit camp that gives them all the tools they've learned to get from chaos to calm. So that's one. But then, like, also during the camp, the kids have made their own pendulums and learned how to use pendulums. They have used dowsing rods and been able to experience picking up energy using dowsing rods. They've used their gemstones and crystals, so they know how to activate their chakras. If they check their chakras and there are any blockages there, they can use their gemstones or crystals to support them. And gosh, I'm just trying to think of some of the other things right now.
Oh, those are some good examples.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to ask too. So this is a summer camp, correct?
It is. It developed as a summer camp, a 5-day program, 6 hours a day for kids, and it's like a full body of work by itself. But what I have developed as I taught Spirit Camp is that there are many parts of Spirit Camp that I kind of refer to as plug and play modules. They help kids access their inner world, but they don't necessarily have a big spirituality slant to it, like the chaos to calm. We can use a meditation technique there, and that's something that can be taught in public schools or private schools. There are many, many aspects of Spirit Camp that can be extracted from the camp as 45-minute modules that can go directly into the school system. So I've been working with a local Montessori school who received a grant from the Montessori Society to bring Dancing Jaguar's curriculum into their Montessori school. So as part of that, I've had a workshop with the teachers, and I've taught them 12 modules that can be taken directly into their classrooms. And then I have been working individually with each classroom, introducing some of the modules. And then in February, I'll be doing a parent workshop to introduce these teachings to the parents. So this particular Montessori school is covering the curriculum and embracing it for the teachers, for the parents, and in every single classroom. So my hope at this point in time is that other schools, both private and public, will embrace these teachings and invite them to come into the classroom too, because one of the concerns I have, especially with older kids, is that inner critic is so powerful and so strong for kids these days. But once they understand that that's not who they are, it's a part of who they are. There's so much. There's so much work that we can do with children today to help them understand that they can manage the voices that we hear in our heads, and we don't have to believe everything that we're hearing. And it just gives kids tools to work with that I feel will really help kids as they age from children to tweens to teens to be able to manage what's happening inside them, both emotionally and with their thoughts.
So amazing. Man, I'm just thinking, I wish I had this when I was a kid. I mean, I was I was in my own world for sure, and that's part of what inspired Inside Out, the children's book. You're meeting one of my invisible friends in that story, but just to have someone encourage that life and to teach tools around how to identify when I'm in a state of chaos and then ways to get out of that state.
Mhm.
That would be brilliant. I'm really psyched to hear that you're doing this. Really psyched.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that has come out of this as well, another nice surprise for me, is that parents of children are saying exactly what you just said to me. I wish I had had this when I was a child, but now that my child is learning all of this, I need to learn it for myself because I just stuffed all of this down when I was growing up, and I need to be reintroduced to all of this as well. So I have developed a spirit camp for adults. We have Spirit Camp for teens. Now there's the original Spirit Camp which is for children up to 12. So it really seems like this is a body of work that we need at all ages in our society right now. And it's really helping adults reconnect with their inner child and do a lot of healing work, which like in the teacher training program that I started in 2019, that's one of the blessings that came out of the teacher trainings that I never saw coming is that as the people were training and learning the curriculum to be able to work with children, they were doing their own inner child healing work, which, I mean, that's like a side effect of what I thought was going to be happening, but there's so much healing work in learning the curriculum to teach the children. It's wonderful. It's powerful stuff.
So you're kind of living out my wish that everyone become their own shaman.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's my not so secret wish. And that's why I created my workbook to teach people how to have a shamanic practice of their own and to explore their own inner worlds, because I think everyone can do this. I mean, you're not the same after you've had a conversation with a tree. You can't be the same person after that.
Absolutely.
And shamanism, as you know, is all about being in relationship with the natural world,
Hmm.
your environment, your community, the people around you, and of course yourself, and then your allies, your spirit helpers in the dream time. So, yeah, what you're doing basically is inviting people to have an active relationship with the external world and the internal world.
Absolutely. And one of the taglines when I talk about Spirit Camp is that this is a program that uses ancient wisdom practices combined with modern holistic techniques to really help children connect to their essence. In terms of the children and their using the techniques later, like so often parents are aware that their children are taking in information, like hearing conversations and stuff, but don't really know how much they're taking in until much later. I'm having that experience with spirit campers. So one year in spirit camp, the children learn about muscle testing. They learn how to get yes no answers from their bodies for understanding how to make good choices for themselves. And as part of the muscle testing, I teach children how to zip up their chakras to seal themselves off from negative energy. It's a very fun, playful module, and the kids have a great time doing it, but it's a really important life skill. So one fall after Spirit Camp, a 5-year-old child was at school, and it was the very first time she was having to go to school all day. She was taking the bus. It was a huge change for her. And she missed her mom at lunch and started crying, and one of the older kids poked fun of her. So when she got home, she told her mom what had happened, and her mom's heart was breaking, but she said, well, how did you handle that? She said, Mom, I was fine. I know how to zip up my chakras. So that was a piece of knowledge from Spirit Camp she had never mentioned from the time Spirit Camp ended to months later when she had a situation she needed to deal with in school, and she was completely fine. At 5 years old, she pulled out that tool, zipped up her chakras sitting in the lunchroom, and she was completely fine handling the situation. That's the kind of information that we need to give all children to be able to take care of themselves when they're not
All
involved. Yeah,
humans.
all humans, you're right. I love getting the emails, during the winter months about some of the things that have happened during the children's everyday life. Like there's a breath that I teach kids called peace breath. And the first time, we inhale and we fill up our heart chakra with love. And then I have them pretend they're holding like a globe of Mother Earth in their hands. And when we exhale, we whisper the word peace, and we send peace to the entire planet. And the second time we do that breath, I ask them to think of someone they've had a recent conflict with. And as they exhale, whisper the word peace to that person. Now, we've done a lot of energy work, so they know how, like Masaru Emoto's book, Hidden Messages in Water, I mean, I use those and large pictures to teach them the effects of positive and negative energy on water crystals. We bring that back to the fact that we are human beings made up mostly of water. So all of that positive and negative energy is affecting us. So after Peace Breath one year, I had to backtrack for a second. A child, an 8-year-old boy, called me and said he was getting in trouble at school and was getting sent out in the hall. And he had an idea and wanted to know if I thought it would work. When he gets sent out into the hall because he's been arguing with a child in his classroom, if he does peace breath and thinks of the child he's in conflict with, do I think it will help the energy in his classroom? An 8-year-old child
Holy shit.
called me. One question, one fall. And I thought, my God, this child just found the answer to world peace, the solution for world peace. At 8 years old, he's pulling tools out of his toolbox and understanding that you can't fight hate with hate. You can only fight it with love and with peace and with compassion. And he actually started utilizing that at school.
How rewarding that must be for you.
I love getting stories like that. If I can share a power animal story with you, I'd love to share that too. I had a child in
Would love a power animal story.
yeah, this I've got a few power animal stories that are kind of cool. One child had gone to spirit camp a couple times, and then I also do workshops like on Saturdays in the winter months that are taking some of the curriculum from spirit camp, sort of like I do in the school system now. So she had taken spirit camp and then done numerous workshops with me in the winter. So I knew she had a really good, strong base when her mom called me and said someone in our family passed away in her sleep. And now this child, who was 7, was fighting going to sleep every night because she was afraid she was going to die in her sleep. And did I have any ideas that we could share with this child to help her? And I immediately thought of calling in her power animal, like after bedtime story, nights and hugs and kisses. Right before the light goes off, have the child get her rattles, which she made at spirit camp, out of her spirit toolbox, call in the essence of her power animal, and ask that power animal to watch over her during the night and to give her power animal the job of waking her up in the morning. And the mom said the first night they did that, she was so excited. I had forgotten that the child's power animal is an owl. How perfect. It's a nocturnal animal. So I work with a lot of kids, so I have a hard time remembering all of their power animals. So anyway, the first night, she called in Owl and asked Owl to watch over her at night and to wake her up in the morning. And that was it. After 2 weeks of the family having sheer chaos in their house because this child wouldn't go to sleep, that's all she needed to do. And she was able to go to sleep from then on. So I really encourage parents to call on, to remind their children that they can call on their power animals for help and support when they need it. Another child was being bullied at school and I didn't realize it. And his power animal was lion. And after school one day, his mom asked him how school was, and he said, fine. And she said, but what about recess? And he said, Mom, recess is fine now. Lion goes to recess with me.
Hmm.
And that shifted something inside him, knowing his power animal was a lion and it had his back while he was on the playground. That started shifting the dynamics between he and the kids who had been bullying him on the playground. And over the course of that year, the relationship between he and those boys changed. And it all started with him knowing that he had a power animal that was going to recess with him. I mean, I feel like these are really simple tools, zipping up chakras, calling on power animal, but if the children don't know them, they can't use them. Once they know them, they are using them in their everyday lives over and over and over again.
It's amazing. I've probably said amazing 7,000 times already, but I'm amazed. This is great. What about behavioral issues during camp? Do you notice that kids act out a lot? Are they hard to manage, or do the exercises you're doing create a sense of calm and over the course of the time that you're working together?
So there are very few behavior problems at Spirit Camp because the children understand that we have certain rules that are not really all that intense. It's basically respect yourself, respect others, respect the property that we're at, respect Mother Earth. And in the very first circle, when we read Inside Out, we talk about what boundaries are and what expectations are for the week. And I think that just sends a really clear message to the children, what is expected of them. And then throughout the week, the kids are really having fun because this is curriculum that they have never, most of them have never been exposed to before. And they're discovering stuff about themselves. So there's an excitement level with these kids that keeps them engaged the entire time. So I would say we rarely have any behavior issues. If anything, We have children with ADD or ADHD that have some difficulty sitting still in some of the exercises, and we just work with them. We find ways to help manage what they're experiencing, and we remind them that they're learning tools constantly throughout the week on how to go from chaos to calm. So there are very few issues that we have to deal with in the course of a week with the children. At the end of every day, these children are so excited to greet their parents and tell their parents what they learned from Mom. You're never going to believe this. I have chakras inside my body, and I know how to open them when they're stuck now, and I can't wait to go home and check your chakras for you tonight. So every single day, it's like Christmas morning when the parents and the children connect, because the kids have so much information to share with their parents about what they're learning about themselves. It's really fun.
I want to go to spirit camp. Do you get a whole spectrum of children who come, children who maybe are dealing with different developmental issues, like maybe they're on the autism spectrum, or do you try to steer away from that?
No, we have had kids on the autism spectrum. We've had children with Down syndrome come to camp. One of the things that I discuss with parents prior to Spirit Camp is if your child has a one-on-one in their classroom at school, they really need to come to Spirit Camp with their one-on-one as well, or with someone, because our staff at Spirit Camp, our ratio is usually 6 or 7 children to one adult. And we don't have the ability to do one-on-one care with one child through the whole week. So I ask parents, you know your children or your child better than I do. If they require a lot of assistance in their school, please provide them with that assistance as well at Spirit Camp for them to be able to have a really successful week.
That makes perfect sense. And it's a really great idea too, because you want to make sure that they are getting their needs met and are getting the most out of the program that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, so many different directions I want to go in. I'm curious, how did this even come to you?
I had a traumatic brain injury that severely impacted my life, and I ended up needing to move from my home in Southern California and return to Maine, where I grew up and lived with family for years. And after a while, I wanted to start studying shamanism because I had always had an interest in it. But one of the things I was concerned about is overstimulation would just affect me in such a way that I would go to sleep. So I told my shamanic teacher, Dory Cody, that I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay awake through the whole thing, but I really wanted to start exploring shamanism. So she said, just keep showing up, just keep coming to the class. You're taking the information in and keep showing up. I did sleep a lot through the first year. It was one weekend a month for a year. But by the end of the year, we realized that I was staying awake for longer periods of time, and I was starting to be able to process what was happening in my journeys. And then we started learning that the VA was using drumming to assist veterans who were coming home from the war with traumatic brain injuries. So I started listening to drumming a lot, even when I was home. And it really strengthened my neural pathways. And I really feel like that was a tremendous part of my healing process. So I continued for a few more years training with her, and just was able to experience the shamanic journeying on a much deeper level as my brain healed. Also, as my brain healed, my teacher Dory said to me, I did this really cute thing with my neighborhood kids one year where I taught them what I called Spirit Camp. And it was really cute and fun, but it's not for me, but Spirit's telling me it might be for you. And the minute she said that, I just had this aha moment, and I decided I was going to make up some little spirit camp to teach kids in my community that summer. So I just had 4 children my first year. They were children of friends of mine, and they were so on fire about spirit camp. And I experienced really some amazing, profound moments, aha moments with each of the children that I realized there's really something onto this, something about this program. And then I started getting messages at 3:20 in the morning that Spirit Camp was something that I was going to be receiving messages about from Spirit. And if I kind of chose to accept this mission, I would continue receiving downloads of this body of work that the children on planet Earth really need to have as we move forward. And then as these children are learning these tools and techniques, as they age up into adults, they will be aging into adulthood as balanced mind, body, spirit, balanced human beings who will be able to help us shift the energy on the planet and really help us change the way our world is living right now. So I kind of made an agreement with Spirit that this is what I will focus my life on now. I have found my destiny, my path, my dharma, and now I get messages at 3:20 in the morning, and it comes just as a knowingness. Like I don't have to wake up and write it down like a dream, fearing I might forget it. It just comes as a knowingness. And one of the messages I started receiving last summer was the world is ready and the children are waiting, or the summer of 2018. And I kept thinking that that was just validating the work that I'm doing with kids. But I kept hearing it. So I knew I was missing something. And then probably in October of 2018, I had an aha moment and I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to write this down and start teaching it to other people. And as soon as I made that connection, within 30 days, I had emails from like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Costa Rica, Mexico, Canada, France, Sweden, like people sending emails from like out of the vortex. I mean, I
Wow.
didn't know people in those countries, but that validated for me, like, holy crap, that message was really literal. The world is waiting and the children are ready. So that's when I started the teacher training program. And now I have trained 20 people in 2019 to be certified Spirit Camp teachers who can take this and just spread it so that we can get this to children everywhere in the world.
When did you have your first spirit camp that with the 4 children? How long ago was that?
2014. 2014.
And did you find that it kind of picked up momentum from there?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Because those kids all wanted to come back the next year. So the next year, like, I'm still like, I was still at that time not really solid in my brain recovery. So I had to take things really, really slow. But I went from one camp the first year to 2 camps the next year. And then I realized, holy cow, like kids, as the parents talked and the kids talked, they really wanted to do this. So the next summer I had 6 camps, and the next summer it was 9 camps. And then I started realizing that there's only one of me and I'm getting asked to go to more places than I can teach. And that's when I started realizing that this is really something that society, our children in particular, really need to have. And that's when the messages started coming for me about the world is ready and the children are waiting.
It's available. I mean, if parents wanted to look into this, it's available in Maine where you live, I'm assuming.
Yes, I have been teaching Spirit Camp in Maine since 2014. Then there are camps in Virginia that I've also been teaching. And now I have trained teachers that live in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, California, Oregon, and in next summer I'll be training teachers in Washington State as well. And as people become certified, they are able to go as a certified Spirit Camp teacher to any country in the world. Like I tell people, if you have family in Greece and you want to go visit your family in Greece, have them help you advertise a Spirit Camp in Greece. And then you go to Greece and teach a Spirit Camp and start spreading the seeds there. And you have an opportunity to visit with your family there.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So like a really organic approach.
Yes, at this point in time it is, yes. It's still, I mean, it's still small. We're just kind of getting out there a little bit more each year. And I feel like it's on the verge of kind of exploding as people are really embracing the depth of the material that the children are learning and how important it is to their development. I really feel like it's on the verge of exploding, and there are going to be many, many more people that bringing Spirit Camp to their communities.
So, if someone wanted to learn how to become a spirit camp teacher, what would they have to do?
Contact me at Dancing Jaguar. Well, my email is Eva at dancingjaguarinspirations.com, and we would set up a little questionnaire. I have a little interview process I do with people, and then I do a background check on everyone who is learning the Spirit Camp curriculum. So as people become certified, I have their contact information on my website, and parents and teachers can all rest assured that everybody that's on the Dancing Jaguar website regarding Spirit Camp, those teachers have all been vetted, and I have Spirit Camp teachers listed by state on the website. So once people contact me and say that they're interested in the program, then I share with them what the schedule is, the upcoming schedule. I'm doing a program in Maine this winter. I'm doing a program in Portland, Oregon in July, and I'm doing one in Seattle as well in July. And also, I have people who have contacted me and just said, there are three of us in, this particular city who want to do Spirit Camp training. If we can get 5 people, will you come here and teach us here? And I'm really open to that. If people just contact me and tell me they're interested in learning the training, we can kind of figure out if they're coming to me or if I'm going to them.
Excellent. Now I'm going to put all your contact information in the show notes so people can easily find you.
Thank you. Can I share one more really profound story?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a story that I think is really important for parents to hear in terms of how children really take in the information they're learning at Spirit Camp and find a way to adapt it to a situation they need help with. So one of the exercises I do is a shamanic exercise where children know about their solar plexus, they know their chakras. So I have them think of a period of time when they had or a situation where they had a yucky feeling in their stomach or their solar plexus, and then see that energy spinning, and it spins faster and faster like a washing machine on the spin cycle, and then it moves up and past their heart chakra, past their throat chakra, and they blow the yucky energy into a pine cone. And then later we do a fire ceremony, and the children offer that pine cone to the fire. And this is just a really short and sweet version of the story because the kids have lessons on how energy is transmuted by the elements, fire and water, and like there's a big teaching around it. But the pine cone gets offered to the fire, and then the smoke carries that energy away. Well, 2 days after Spirit Camp ended, a child who had come to Spirit Camp at her therapist's suggestion because she was already starting to cut as a coping mechanism, parents were really getting concerned about her and sent her to Spirit Camp. And 2 days after the camp ended, her mother texted me and said that the child's grandmother, who was the child care provider for the family, had had a stroke and she was not going to survive it. And the mom was afraid the child was going to start cutting again. And I told her to remind the child of her spirit toolbox. And she has lots of tools in there. And if she needs help trying to figure out what she can do to help her deal with this situation, to call me. And I didn't hear anything the rest of the day. So I assumed everything was okay. The next day, I got an email from the mom saying that she was writing through tears because her daughter, once the mom reminded her that she had a spirit toolbox, the daughter came up with the idea that the family had to have a fire ceremony for grandma. And each person in the family was going to write a letter to her. And then everyone would read the letter to grandma around the fire. And then they would burn the letters. And the smoke would carry the words up to heaven. So when the grandmother did pass away, there would be letters from her family waiting for her to greet her in heaven. And the mom said,
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
the mom said, now I understand that she really does have tools and she has a way to manage situations that life is throwing at her, and she's going to be okay. And she was. The girl did a complete turnaround when she started school that year, and life was completely different for her. So it's another really powerful example of how kids take in the information that they're experiencing when they're at spirit camp, and they find ways to pull at those tools from their spirit toolbox to really help them manage life.
You're doing good work,
Oh,
Ava.
thank you. I feel really blessed to be on this mission, to be this partner with Spirit to bring this work forward for the children in the world. I couldn't be happier. I feel really blessed to be doing this work.
Well, your passion doesn't come through at all. Let me just say that. Uh, for parents who would like to investigate Spirit Camp to see if they would like to send their child, what is the age range that you typically work with?
5 to 12. And, I've even found that another little surprise for me on this journey with Spirit Camp is that because there aren't a lot of Spirit camps, families plan their summer vacations around where there's a spirit camp location, and they travel to that city for a week so the child can go to spirit camp. So the children are in camp from 9 to 3, and the parents or one of the parents, has that time to themselves to go and explore the area, and then they pick their kids up at 3 and they have family time. And I didn't ever think of Spirit Camp as being a destination camp, but it actually has become that. But if a parent wants their child to come to Spirit Camp or to explore it, they can go to spiritcamp.net on the internet and be taken to our website, and we will have the locations listed there. And if there's a parent that can, this is kind of like a hub of other parents and children who are interested in having Spirit Camp come to them. We have 20 certified teachers now in the U.S., or 21, including me. So if it's early enough, like in the early stages of winter this year, we could work with parents to put together a Spirit Camp in their community if they can, help us come up with a healthy little group of children who would be interested in coming to Spirit Camp.
Beautiful. I just want to make sure I'm clear and that listeners are clear. Spiritcamp.net is for parents who want to explore Spirit Camp or sign up for it.
Yes. And on that spiritcamp.net, it takes you to the Dancing Jaguar website, but spiritcamp.net was a whole lot easier to remember than Dancing Jaguar Inspiration.
Oh, okay. All right. There was two different names you mentioned. That's why I wanted to clarify.
It takes people to the Dancing Jaguar website. It's just a shorter a shorter URL to have to remember. But also on that spiritcamp.net page, there's a link for if you are interested in becoming a teacher of Spirit Camp. So you can just click on that and be taken to the teacher training page as well.
Perfect. All right. Well, I hope that there are spirit camps in every community in the entire world and that they infiltrate every school in the entire world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you're speaking my language, so this is all wonderful stuff. And I'm so glad that you were able to come on the show and share this information with me and your story too. It's a powerful one because I know having worked with folks who have had traumatic brain injury, it's a long, difficult process that presents so many challenges, and a lot of the challenges, at least from my understanding, are ones that aren't seen on the outside, and so people may not know how difficult it is to have a TBI.
That's absolutely true. It was a long road back, and I feel like that long road back is what I needed to be on to be in the place that I'm at right now, working in partnership with Spirit to bring this work forward for children everywhere.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Wendy. It was really wonderful to spend this time with you.
If you'd like to learn more about Eva's programs, please visit her website, spiritcamp.net. A big thank you to Eva for coming on the show and for breathing new life into my kids' book. It's pretty amazing. And thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can support Lucid Cafe by subscribing to make sure that you never miss an episode, giving it a positive review, or spreading the word. You can also make a one-time or monthly donation using the link in the show notes or on the podcast page of my website, lucidpathwellness.com. However you support the show, it really does mean a lot, and it helps a whole bunch. Thank you so very much. All right, signing off. Until next time.